The only person with whom you have to compare yourself is you in the past. The mind is like an iceberg, it floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Thought is action and rehearsal. Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. In the small matters, trust the mind, in the large ones, the heart. People do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. The ego is not master in its own house. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs high conduct in the world. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. Everywhere I go, I find a poet has been there before me. Religion is a system of wishful illusions together with a disavowal of reality. Life, as we find it, is too hard for us. It brings us too many pains, disappointments, and impossible tasks. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. The ego refuses to be distressed by the provocations of reality, to let itself be compelled to suffer. One might compare the relation of the ego to the ID with that between a rider and his horse. It is easy to see that the ego is that part of the ID which has been modified by the direct influence of the external world. Everyone has wishes which he would not like to tell to others, which he does not want to admit even to himself. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. Dreams may be thus stated. They are concealed realizations of repressed desires. Dreams with a painful content are to be analyzed as the fulfillments of wishes. Dream disfigurement, then, turns out in reality to be an act of the censor. The ideas so far produced are insufficient for the interpretation of the dream. The dream is a sort of substitution for those emotional and intellectual trains of thought. Children are completely egoistic. They feel their needs intensely and strive ruthlessly to satisfy them. Towards the outside, at any rate, the ego seems to maintain clear and sharp lines of demarcation. At the height of being in love, the boundary between ego and object threatens to melt away. The repressed merges into the ID as well, and is merely a part of it. The ego represents what we call reason and sanity, in contrast to the ID, which contains the passions. It's time to get together and become a part of something greater. Never miss out. I have found little that is good about human beings on the whole. We choose not randomly each other. We meet only those who already exists in our subconscious. The goal of all life is death. Dreams are often most profound when they seem the most crazy. Men are more moral than they think and far more immoral than they can imagine. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it.